Good afternoon. Welcome to Sports Nothing But Sports with Kent Sterling for Wednesday, December 18th, 2019, brought to you by the great people at Today's Dentistry. Hey, listen, you haven't been to the dentist in a while. I get it. It's not at the top of your to-do list. It never is for people, but I'm telling you, there are very few things that you can do for yourself that are going to be as meaningful for your health as going to the dentist. And if you're going to go, make it a really good one. Dr. Mike O'Neill is that guy at Today's Dentistry. Call him, 317-849-2933. Before we talk about the Indianapolis Colts and the Pacers and Indiana University, their athletic department search, I want to remind you of the book that I wrote called Oops, The Art of Learning from Mistakes and Adventures. You can get it as an ebook. You can get it as an audio book. You can get the hardcover book. Go to Amazon.com. Go to BarnesandNoble.com. Go to Audible.com, Goodreads.com as well, and there it is. It's a 242-page compendium of all of my screw-ups and what I learned from them. A lot of people write like something a little bit autobiographical, and it extols their own virtues. This is the opposite of that. I made a lot of mistakes, and a lot of them are right there in that book. Now, the Indianapolis Colts, they made too many mistakes this year to go to the playoffs, right? They're 6-8. And so without any possibility of going to the postseason and accomplishing their team goals, what is this team playing for at home this Sunday against Carolina, and then the following Sunday in the season finale at Jacksonville? We talked to Colts safety George Odum about that and a lot more. George, 6-8. At this point, you guys with 2 games left, what's your mindset looking ahead to these 2 games?
Well, I mean, like beginning of the year, we only can look at one game at a time. When coming to the game, you know, they got a great running back. They're going to have a rookie starting at quarterback, so we should have a slight advantage on defense because he hasn't played that much this season. You know, the running back, he plays 94% of the snaps, number 22, so we'll come down. He's a physical back. We're going to come have to hit him. Hit him like a hammer with a nail. Got to hit him hard, and we got to keep hitting over and over again. And we got to display that this whole weekend coming up.
Wear him down before he wears you guys down.
Oh, yeah. It's like fouling down on the sword and making it dull. And then we just got to sharpen our blade and make it strong.
Maybe it's not even the right time to look back on the year, but the collective goals have adjusted. Your goals, have they adjusted? And how do you feel like you're doing?
One of my coaches said this at the beginning of the year. It struck with me. So he's like, how it starts is not how it ends. So, you know, as people get hurt and certain people move around and they make cuts and changes and stuff like that, my goal has been the same. It's try to be a starter on defense and try to contribute a lot to my team and do it as best I can on special teams. And at the end of the day, I know I did my job right.
What don't we know about special teams? Like, we look at special teams, we see the holding penalty the other night, and we see a blocked kick, or we see that kind of thing. We see either success or failure, depending on what happens with the play. What don't we get about it? Is it more complicated than that?
So, punt. So, punt is the hardest thing on the field.
Really?
So, basically, you got one-on-ones all across the board, except the gunner sometimes. We got double vice. So that's the hardest part. That's the hardest job on the field, double gunner and PP, because you got to call the protection. You got to get everybody right. Even if somebody mess up, if you slip they're going to block the punt. So that is the hardest phase in the game. So with that being said, it's like you got to take the coaching critique. You got to watch who you're going against. You got to win your one-on-ones every time. And so that's the reason why some people don't get it. Just imagine if I'm going against you every play. I know what you're doing. I watch film on you. It's like I know what to win, and you know what I'm going to do. And so it's like the best man wins in that situation.
And, like, when you're on defense, if you blow a coverage, you got other guys there who can cover it, and maybe you give up 12 yards. If you get a punt blocked, the game fundamentally changes.
Yeah, so with that punt being blocked, we went from having the ball on the 3 or 4 to having the ball on they're going in from 40. So that changed the game. I don't want to say that changed the game, but it changed a slight momentum in the game, which we held them to 3 points. And then that's like we got to put our feet back in the ground and start digging out. So from there, it's like it slightly changed the momentum, yes, a little bit.
You like hitting guys, and you hit guys hard. Over the course of a 16-game season, what's that do to your body?
Hitting for a DB is more shoulder to neck, maybe hand a little bit. It takes a little toll. You know, I come in every day. I try to get a massage on my neck and shoulders. It relax them, and I feel fine after 2 or 3 days. Just say this: you got to hit them before they hit you. The worst hits be when somebody hits you and you brace the contact. You got to initiate the contact.
You ever play baseball?
Yes. Well, only when I was a kid, though.
When you hit a ball, I've heard this. I don't know whether this is true. You tell me whether it's true. You hit a ball in the sweet spot, you barrel it up, it just feels like nothing. And if you hit it kind of on the label or on the end of the bat, if you hit a guy, is it like that? Is it like just whap and you don't even feel it?
So I heard this from a lot of people, a lot of defensive players and stuff like this. So when you come in at full speed and you hit somebody and you knock them back, you don't feel nothing. Literally, you get up and like, oh, okay, you celebrate. But when you brace for contact and you let the dude hit you, you feel it. You feel everything. So my suggestion is you go full speed and you wreck that person that's running that ball. So that's my idea of sprint tackle, hitting, wrecking them. Because I'm not trying to let nobody hit me. I'm doing the hitting. So basically, yeah.
That's George Odum, safety for the Indianapolis Colts. He'll be on the field Sunday as they play the Carolina Panthers. One of my favorite guys in the locker room. I love talking to George Odum because with him, it's just a conversation. He's not worried about being asked a dopey question and what he might say in response like a lot of the guys are. George is just George, and I enjoy him. Another guy we enjoy, Darius Leonard. He's going to the Pro Bowl, so let's talk to Darius. Darius, what was your reaction to finding out you were finally going to the Pro Bowl?
I was definitely shocked. I was on the way to the Pacer game, so I wasn't going to look for it. I wasn't looking at the game, so then I went away to the game. Coach Wright called me and just told me the news. So I was excited, told the wife, and kind of went from there.
What does it mean to you?
It means a lot, especially coming from where I came from, all the adversity that I had to go through, and then coming here and just proving everybody wrong kind of feels good.
You had mentioned before that maybe you just weren't popular enough to get the nod for the Pro Bowl. What does this say to you now about the respect that you get from the rest of the league?
It means a lot. Just say that all the players, all the coaches, they're seeing what I'm doing and they're respecting everything that I'm doing. So I'm just very honored.
Darius, were you surprised?
Yes, I was surprised.
After last year, and after just nice surprise.
Did you watch the vote totals and stuff at all as they were coming out this year,
or? Yeah, I was. I was actually talking to Amber almost every week. I'll just kind of see where I was at, and then I think it was last week I wasn't even top 10. I saw Justin Houston was, and I'm surprised he's not in there. And then after I saw that I wasn't in the top 10 as a fan vote, I was like, yeah, it's definitely not going to be a year for me too.
So is this some level of validation that you needed, or you know where you rank in this league, but is this sort of a validation for what you've done?
Somewhat. Just finally kind of getting on, I guess. Finally, everybody's seeing what type of linebacker I am.
On a manager, it means more that coaches and players are a heavy vote here. They've got 2/3 of the vote in the decision here too.
Yeah, like I said, it's great to see that my peers around me voted me in because out there playing against them, so they voted me in. So I'm definitely very honored about that.
Moving ahead now, what are the new goals? I know the coach said there was a team meeting today. You've reset your goals. What are they now?
Win. You gotta win. I haven't met not one goal that I had for myself. Only goal that I met was make the Pro Bowl, and that's not something that I enjoy. I probably set maybe 15 goals this year, and that's the only one that I met. So I definitely I have so much room for improvement. I'm definitely gotta watch the tape, see everything that I've done wrong, and try to go from there.
That's Darius Leonard. You heard the goals that he set for himself before the season. 200 tackles. That's quite a few. All those interceptions, all those forced fumbles, all those sacks. Holy cow, the guy sets the bar incredibly high, and he works toward reaching those goals. I don't think anybody in the history of the game has accomplished all that Darius Leonard wanted to accomplish this season. But you know what? Without asking yourself to do it, without putting those goals in writing and looking at them every day, you're never going to accomplish them. So, Darius Leonard, congratulations on going to the Pro Bowl. I hope you have a great time. It's a validation, as Lara Overton said during her question. It's a validation of his work and his sacrifice and everything that he has done to become the player that he is. The Pacers last night, unbelievably good against the Lakers. They win 105-102. And again, this was another game where a bunch of guys scored a bunch of points. They are a team-first group. I wrote about this at KentSterling.com, why I love watching this team and why I think you will too. People in Indiana, we get basketball at a higher level, all right? We're not there to watch, the star power. We're not there to watch James Harden jack up like 48 shots. We're there to watch the ball move smartly, precisely, create space for open shots, and then on defense, we want to see connected defense. Last night, Miles Turner was terrific defensively. He made LeBron James adjust his offensive game, and that's what Miles Turner does. Even if it doesn't show up in the box score, when he plays with energy, he makes Indiana a really tough team to attack offensively because there he is as one of the best rim protectors in the game. Last night, LeBron James did not enjoy playing against Miles Turner, and that's great praise from LeBron James toward Miles Turner. Another night where the Pacers, they spread the scoring wealth around. Domas Sabonis, he scored in the mid-20s. He had another double-double, 10 rebounds. He has had a double-double for 13 straight games. The Pacers right now, they are 19-9. They got a game coming up Friday night against the Sacramento Kings at Bankers Life Fieldhouse. Then it gets a little bit tough. You got the Milwaukee Bucks. You got the Raptors. You got a game against the Sixers looming. The schedule gets a little bit difficult for the Pacers, so they need to pick up as many games as they can. And if people want to manage load or load manage, however you want to say it, against the Pacers, hey, beautiful. I got no problem with that. Victor Oladipo has been on the bench the entire season because of his injury. If other guys like Anthony Davis, if they can't play, I say beautiful. That's a wonderful thing. We don't need him to play, all right? We don't need to see Kawhi Leonard in order to feel good about the Pacers playing basketball. We don't need James Harden to come to Indiana and play for the Rockets. We don't need that. If they want to load manage, have at it. We'll take the win and run like thieves in the night. I wrote about the Pacers at KentSterling.com because I just love watching them, and I love what Kevin Pritchard has done with this team. And I'm gonna compare and contrast for just a minute between Kevin Pritchard and John Paxson. All right, now John Paxson is, the vice president of player personnel. Gar Forman is the GM. Those guys have been the brain trust with the Chicago Bulls for a long time. And so the Bulls, they keep trying to find their ass with both hands, and they can't. They keep putting together rosters that are not competitive, and fans are getting a little bit pissed off. So Paxson, according to people on NBC Sports Chicago, said, well, you know what, it's been very difficult because Derrick Rose's injury was so unexpected. Do you know when Derrick Rose sat out the season? 2012 and 2013. Do you know what's happened since then? Paul George went down with a gruesome lower leg injury. Paul George demanded to be traded. Victor Oladipo tore his quad tendon. And what happens? What does Kevin Pritchard do? Kevin Pritchard keeps putting together rosters that win basketball games. So Paul George comes to Pritchard and says, hey, deal me, would you? He goes to Oklahoma City, and they got their hands on their head, and they're saying, my God, oh no, this team, it's got no chance to win. So Paul George goes to OKC. Vic and Domas come to Indianapolis, and what happens the next year? The Pacers win 6 more games than they did the previous year with Paul George. How about that? This past year, look at all the guys who are gone. Of the top 10 scorers on last year's Pacers team, 5 of them are gone. 3 of them are starters. Darren Collison retires. Thad Young goes to the Bulls. Bojan Bogdanovic goes out to Utah. Tyreek Evans, I don't know where the hell Tyreek Evans is. You got a lot of guys. Wesley Matthews, for goodness sake, gone. A lot of guys gone from that team last year. So what does Kevin Pritchard do? He goes out and he brings in a bunch of TJs, right? T.J. Warren, T.J. McConnell. He's got Jeremy Lamb. He went out and he got a bunch of guys Malcolm Brogdon, for God's sake. A bunch of guys, they come in, they augment what the Pacers already had with Miles Turner and Domas Sabonis and Victor Oladipo when he comes back. But you got a lot of new meat on this team. This team has won 19 of its first 28 games this season without Victor Oladipo. That is managing a roster, that is managing a franchise, that is building a culture, and that is what is not happening in the city of Chicago. And for Paxson to say, well, we were really set back by the Rose injury. You know what? Cry me a damn river. Come down to Indianapolis. We'll swap problems with you in a minute and still run circles around your ass. It's embarrassing what the Bulls are doing. I applaud heartily what Kevin Pritchard has been able to do with the Indiana Pacers. Indiana University is looking for a new athletic director. They are putting together a committee, 14-member committee, to do exactly that. I got problems with this. Obviously, I've been in a lot of rooms and on a lot of committees, and I've never seen a committee of 14 people leave the room doing the right thing. I've never seen it happen. You want to screw something up, involve more people in the decision-making. So that's what's happening. Michael McRobbie is impaneling a 14-member committee of faculty, administrators, alumni, and athletics department representatives. The new director, obviously, is going to replace Fred Glass, who's leaving as AD at Indiana at the end of the academic year. The committee is going to be chaired by IU Vice President for Government Relations and Economic Engagement, Bill Stephen. He was the guy who led the search committee that led to Fred Glass's appointment. So, hey, I loved Fred Glass as an AD. So he's gotten it right once. Here's one time when maybe a committee did work. So let's be a little bit optimistic about this committee, maybe at least for a second, until we figure out who's on it. Who is on it? Kerry Doherty, Chair of the IU Athletics Committee and Associate Dean of Academic Affairs, Professor in the SPIA School, whatever. Allison Jordan, she's a member of the IU women's soccer team, All-American women's soccer player. She's an academic All-American and a senior in the Kelley School of Business. I hope she's there to audit. If she's there to audit how this process works, I'm all for it. That's fine. If she believes she knows anything about choosing an athletic director, she's crazy. I don't care if she's got an IQ of 7,000. If you have not sat in a chair where you had to make decisions that affected people's lives, you have no idea what toolbox is necessary for a person to accomplish what that role requires. So no offense to Allison. I don't know her, but she has no business having a voice in the room whatsoever because she's never been in charge of nothing. You can't be a person in your 20s who's never run anything, sitting around trying to tell people who have what they should do in terms of hiring the next athletic director at Indiana. Ray Lew's the head coach of the IU men's and women's swimming team. You've got Terry Moran, also the IU women's basketball coach. Both these I lump together. I don't like people participating in the process of finding their own boss. I don't like that. Pat Miller is the director emerita of the IU Foundation. All right, whatever. Co-founder of Vera Bradley. Nice. So you know what she does. She writes big checks, so she's invited into the room. At least she has been in charge of things and understands the traits required of people to do their jobs well when they're in charge. So we'll take our hats off to her there. Ned Pfau, member of the IU Foundation Board of Directors, director and former president of the IU Varsity Club, president and CEO of George Pfau's Sons Company. All right. Another guy who writes checks. We know who Ned Pfau is. And so we know who Ned Pfau is, and he's in the room, as he is oftentimes for these things. What the hell are you going to do? Cindy Simon-Scott, member of the IU Foundation Board of Directors, chair of the Sumerian Foundation Board. She wrote a big giant check to renovate Assembly Hall, so there you go. That's why she's in the room. Anthony Thompson, former All-American IU football player, member of the College Football Hall of Fame, senior associate athletic director for engagement and sports performance. I don't know. Yeah, I like having a former football player in there and a guy who's done some stuff. I got no problem with that, I guess. Randall Tobias, former trustee and chair of the IU Board of Trustees, director emeritus of the IU Foundation, former director of the Varsity Club, former chair and CEO of Eli Lilly. He's been in the room. He's been in charge. I think he'll understand leadership. But look, what are you going to get is you aggregate all these people in the same room for, Todd Yeagley, there he is, the IU head men's soccer coach. Love him, great soccer coach, but he's another guy participating in the hiring of his own boss, which I do not like. We have discussed that. Maddie White, she is the IU Senior Associate Athletic Director for Academic Services and the Excellence Academy and Senior Woman Administrator. James Winbush, former chair of the IU Athletics Committee, vice president for Diversity, Equity, and Multicultural Affairs, dean of the University Graduate School, and Johnson Chair for Diversity and Leadership at IU. All right, whatever. Kurt Zorn, faculty athletics representative, associate vice provost for undergraduate education. You know what I get out of this? Honest to God. And, of course, Jim Delaney, the genius of all geniuses, who's going to retire on January 2nd. He's going to be a consultant of the committee. The longer the title, the less a person has to do. The fewer responsibilities, the longer the title. You got a lot of people on this committee with long-ass titles, I think, who are used to being in sort of these big, giant rooms with the big, giant tables and everybody nodding yes up and down and hoping that they get things right and not being held directly accountable for getting it right. Here is a thing that is absolutely true and incontrovertible about decision-making at a high level. Unless you got one guy or one woman making the decision, nobody is going to be held accountable for that decision. Who hired Fred Glass? If Fred Glass had been a train wreck of an athletic director, would it have been Steven that we kind of pointed at and said, oof, not a good job by this guy? No, because it's a committee, like 12 people, 14 people in this case. For God's sake. So everybody can point at somebody else and nobody's ultimately blamed for anything and they aren't held accountable for anything. To me, this should be McRobbie making the hire and that's it. And if McRobbie wants to have offline conversations with people who want to participate and share their opinion toward making that decision, that's cool, but that's the president of the university. That's the guy who is ultimately responsible for everything that goes on at the university, and I don't think that he should seek cover behind a 14-person committee. I think he ought to stand there and say, this is my guy. He's not even on the damn committee, for God's sake. So what is this committee going to be responsible for, is the question. Are they just making a recommendation? And is McRobbie going to get like three? And, 3 finalists, and he's going to sit them down and talk to these people and figure it out? Or are they going to recommend one, and McRobbie is just a rubber stamp? If that's what it is, then I get a little bit pissed off. If it's, hey, we got to thin the herd, so these 14 people, they're going to talk to everybody and they're going to thin the herd, I guess what the hell's the harm in that, all right? It activates all these people, makes them think that they got a voice in who gets hired. But McRobbie, ultimately, whether or not he participates in this process or whether or not he runs this process and makes the hire, I'm holding him ultimately responsible for what this hire is. There you go. That's Sports Nothing But Sports for Wednesday, December 18th. Buy Oops. You don't have to Google. You go to Amazon, you go to Barnes & Noble, you go to Goodreads, and you put in the search field, Oops, with 2 O's, and Sterling or Kent, up it pops, buy it, makes a wonderful holiday gift, and you can get it, the audiobook, sure. You can get the hard copy book, you can get the ebook, they're all available. There they are for you. And I'm telling you, you're going to learn things, and you're going to learn from my mistakes. I've made mistakes. You learn from them, you move on with your life without making the same mistakes yourself. I'm trying to save you heartache, people. So buy Oops and enjoy it. We'll talk to you tomorrow morning. Breakfast with Kent, as always, at 8 o'clock straight up on Facebook Live. Immediately thereafter at about 8:15 or 8:17 on Periscope Live, which is also available on Twitter, your Twitter feed. All right, there you go. And in the meantime, call today's dentistry. Make an appointment, 317-849-2933.